Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into some serious brain power in the animal kingdom?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking ravens today.
Fascinating birds.
Now, you might think of ravens as, kind of like those dark, mysterious birds.
Right, the whole doom and gloom thing.
Exactly. But what if I told you they're also some of the most playful creatures out there?
It's true.
Like, seriously playful.
Up there with dolphins.
Yeah. And primates.
It really makes you rethink those stereotypes.
Totally. We're using Jennifer Ackerman's Bird Sense for this deep dive.
Great book.
And our mission is to uncover why these birds are so playful.
And what that playfulness tells us about their intelligence.
Right, and how they evolved.
So, when we think of ravens, we often picture them as, grim.
Yeah, or even ghastly.
Yeah, not exactly the image of a playful creature.
Total opposite, right?
For sure, Ackerman actually shares this story from scientist Matthias Osvath.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
He's watching this raven in flight.
Okay.
And suddenly the bird just drops like a stone straight down. But then just before hitting the ground, it swoops back up.
Like a daredevil move.
Right. It's clearly not just instinct.
So it's intentional.
Yeah. And Osvath saw it over and over.
That's interesting.
Like the raven was choosing to do this.
They're fun.
Seems like it makes you wonder how self-aware they are.
Absolutely. And that's just one example.
Oh, there's plenty more.
They've been seen drop-catching twigs in midair.
Oh, yeah, and hanging upside down.
To transfer objects between their beak and feet.
Talk about coordination.
I know. And even tossing and catching a ball while lying on their backs.
It's like avian acrobatics.
Seriously impressive.
There was even a group of ravens observed sliding down a snowy hill.
Like sledding.
Exactly. And other ravens gathered around as if they were cheering them on.
Like a raven party.
Pretty much, but it begs the question, why would any animal engage in what seems like risky
and energy-consuming behavior?
Right, on the surface, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, especially from a survival standpoint.
That's the big mystery, and that's where Matthias Osvath's research on raven cognition is so important.
He's the one who saw the raven's daredevil move, right?
Yeah, he actually switched from studying great apes to ravens.
Wait, he found ravens more interesting than great apes?
Apparently so.
Wow. That's saying something. So how do we even define play scientifically?
Good question. We use the word all the time, but how do we know when an animal is actually playing?
Right. Is there like a scientific checklist?
Well, there is. Gordon Burkhardt, a play researcher, came up with 5 criteria.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, the behavior isn't fully functional.
Meaning?
It doesn't have an immediate purpose for survival.
Like it's not about finding food or escaping predators?
Exactly. Second, it's often exaggerated or awkward.
Like when a puppy pounces on a toy.
Exactly. Third, it has to be spontaneous, voluntary, and intentional.
So the animal is choosing to do it.
Exactly. Fourth, and this is key, it's pleasurable for the animal.
You can usually tell by their body language, right?
Right. They look relaxed, engaged, and like they're having fun.
And finally,
play happens in a relaxed, low-stress setting.
Okay, so no playing when they're in danger.
Pretty much.
So it's not just random silliness. There's a real science to play.
For sure, and what's amazing is play isn't just for mammals.
Oh, really?
We're seeing evidence of it in a wider range of species than we thought.
Like birds, reptiles.
You got it. Even fish.
Fish playing. What does that even look like?
Well, there's this hilarious example of turquoise-browed motmots.
Motmots.
Yep, they play this tail-chasing game.
Sounds fun.
They spin around trying to catch their own tails, but they never actually succeed.
So they ever win?
Nope. It's so repetitive and awkward, but they keep doing it.
Clearly not for survival.
Right. It's driven by something else.
A fun factor.
Seems like it's... So, if play is so widespread, why haven't we seen it in more species?
Good question.
It probably comes down to research limitations. Observing play takes time and patience.
And maybe we're just not looking for it in the right places.
Or in the right ways.
True. But back to our brainy ravens.
Right, those playful masterminds.
Ackerman points out 3 things that are linked to complex play.
The recipe for playful intelligence.
And ravens have all 3.
What are they?
Large relative brain size, a long juvenile period spent with their parents, and a tendency to exploit diverse food resources.
All ingredients for social complexity and adaptability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get to the big question, why play?
Why do animals do it?
What are some of the leading theories?
One idea is that play is practice for adulthood.
Like a training program.
Exactly. By playing, animals develop skills they'll need later, like hunting or problem solving.
So for ravens, that could mean honing their caching skills.
Right, caching is hiding food for later.
Makes sense. They're basically getting a head start on adulting.
But in a fun way, what other theories are there?
Well, we've got stress reduction.
Oh yeah, play can help regulate those stress hormones and build resilience.
It's like a natural stress reliever.
Exactly. Then there's the brain development theory,
That play is essential for brain development.
especially the prefrontal cortex.
Isn't that the part of the brain responsible for complex thinking and decision-making?
That's the one, so play could actually be shaping their brains.
Wow. Now, Ackerman mentions a more radical theory, something about brain regeneration.
Ah, yes, Osvath's shaky hypothesis.
He suggests that play might help regenerate brain cells in adults,
Similar to sleep, it's a bold idea and more research is needed.
but it's those out-of-the-box ideas that can lead to breakthroughs.
Absolutely. But with all these theories, is it too simple to just say play is fun?
I mean, it's definitely a factor, right?
Remember that experiment where ravens chose play over food?
Yeah. They were like, forget the snacks, let's play.
Exactly. It suggests they place a high value on play even when basic needs are met.
Makes sense. And there's evidence that birds, just like mammals, get a rush of feel-good chemicals in the brain during play.
Their brains are wired for fun, so to speak.
So it's not just a frivolous activity, it's rooted in brain chemistry.
For sure. Now let's tie it all together.
How does all this playfulness connect to raven intelligence?
Are playful animals smarter?
It's a good question.
Well, it's not quite that
There's
straightforward.
definitely a link, right?
It seems like playfulness might be a sign of intelligence and it could help develop cognitive abilities.
Okay. I can see that ravens are incredibly quick learners,
They are. They excel at problem solving.
and they outperform apes and young children in certain tasks.
That's right. They're constantly innovating, inventing new games, and learning from each other.
So they have a culture of play.
Exactly like their own social traditions.
That's amazing.
There's even that example of a raven who figured out how to imitate the click of an electric fence to startle horses.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's in the book. The bird was manipulating its environment just for kicks.
Talk about a prankster.
It shows they understand cause and effect.
And they have a sense of humor.
Maybe so, but there's even more to their social intelligence.
You're talking about play contagion, right?
Exactly. That's when one raven's playfulness spreads to others.
So they're influencing each other's moods.
It seems that way. Researchers have noticed that when one raven starts playing, others join in.
And it's not just copying the same behavior.
Right. They might engage in different types of play. It's as if the emotion itself is contagious.
So they're not just reacting to actions, they're picking up on emotions.
It really makes you think about their emotional lives.
And their social intelligence.
And it's not limited to positive emotions.
Oh, really?
Ravens also show negative emotional contagion.
Meaning?
They can pick up on and share negative emotions too.
So they have empathy.
It's just they do.
That's amazing. It makes you wonder if play is so important for ravens. What about us?
We humans love to play too.
From childhood games to adult hobbies.
Could our own playfulness be connected to our intelligence and success as a species?
That's a question worth exploring.
It is indeed, and it's where this deep dive gets really interesting.
Perhaps playfulness is more integral to our evolution than we realize.
It makes you wonder if play is more than just fun. Maybe it's a key ingredient in what makes us intelligent beings.
Maybe, but before we jump to conclusions, let's look at some more examples of raven play
Okay, sounds good.
and see what else we can learn from these feathered geniuses ready for part 2.
Let's do it. All right, so we're back in the world of ravens.
Picking up where we left off.
Ackerman takes us to Osvath's aviary in bird sense.
Oh yeah, I remember that section.
And things are a little different during breeding season.
Makes sense, babies to feed, gotta be serious business.
Absolutely. Raven parents are super protective,
Oh yeah, those chicks are hungry.
and they're constantly feeding them. Ackerman describes this male raven.
Okay.
He catches a rat, prepares it, and boom, straight to the chicks.
No time wasted.
The efficiency is incredible.
Dedicated dad for sure, but we were talking about ravens being expert cachers earlier.
Hiding food for later, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
does that tie into their play at all?
You know, it's interesting because learning to cache effectively,
It's gotta be a process, right?
it seems like a lot of trial and error.
Like a game in itself.
Exactly. Osvath tells this story about a neighbor. The neighbor finds a piece of meat hidden in his horse's mane.
In the horse's mane.
Yep. Apparently, young ravens haven't quite mastered the art of hiding spots.
Makes sense, they're still learning.
They're not born knowing the best caching strategies.
So how do they learn?
Well, play seems to be a big part of it.
Okay, how so?
Juvenile ravens do this thing researchers call stupid caching.
Stupid caching.
They hide things that aren't even food.
Like what?
Pebbles, twigs, stuff like that.
So they're practicing the motions?
Without the risk of losing actual food.
Like a raven version of pretend play.
Exactly, and as they get older, they get more strategic.
So they up their game?
They hide food behind barriers. They pay attention to whether other ravens are watching. They even seem to understand another bird's perspective.
What do you mean?
There was this study where ravens would only guard their caches
Okay.
if a peephole to another room was open.
So they knew another raven could be watching.
Exactly, like they're playing a mind game.
And winning. So even when they're not technically playing?
They're still showing off their intelligence.
Now, Ackerman talks about 3 main types of play.
Locomotor, object, and social.
Right, let's break those down.
Well, we talked about object play already.
The twig catching and all that.
But their locomotor play is just as impressive.
What kind of stuff do they do?
They slide down hills, roll in the snow, and their aerial maneuvers are amazing.
Like what?
Osvath saw them doing Immelman turns.
Wait, isn't that a fighter pilot move?
Yep. Ravens are doing aerial tricks that fighter pilots use.
That's insane.
And then you've got social play.
Which involves interacting with other ravens.
Exactly. Things like chasing wrestling mark battles.
Sounds like my kind of party.
Osvath describes this game where they pull on each other's legs
Okay.
until they all fall in a heap in the snow.
Sounds like fun and chaos.
Pretty much. But here's the kicker.
What's that?
Ravens seem to be constantly inventing new games.
So it's not just a set list of games?
Nope, they're coming up with new ones all the time.
So each raven community has its own unique games.
Researchers have observed different games at different locations.
So it's not just instinct.
It's socially learned and constantly evolving.
They have their own culture of play.
It speaks to their intelligence and creativity.
Absolutely. But despite all the research,
We still haven't completely answered the why.
why play? What's the evolutionary advantage?
Right, we've got some compelling theories.
Like practice makes perfect.
Play could be a way for them to refine skills they'll need as adults.
Makes sense, getting ready for the real world.
For ravens, that could be hunting, caching, navigating social situations.
So play is like a safe space to practice.
And then there's the idea that play promotes behavioral flexibility.
Meaning?
It helps them develop a wider range of responses to unexpected situations.
So they're more adaptable.
Exactly. They can think on their feet and come up with creative solutions.
So play isn't just about specific skills, it's about becoming more adaptable in general.
And don't forget about stress reduction.
Right, play can help regulate stress hormones.
It's a natural way to cope with the challenges of life.
So play has benefits for mental and emotional well-being, too.
And of course, there's the theory that play is crucial for brain development.
Especially the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, that control center of the brain.
Play deprivation can have some serious negative effects.
And remember Osvath's shaky hypothesis.
About brain regeneration.
It's a fascinating idea that needs more research.
But with all these theories, is it too simple to just say play is fun?
The fun factor is definitely important.
Those ravens choosing play over food, they clearly enjoy it.
And biologically, play triggers those feel-good chemicals in the brain.
So it's literally rewarding.
Now, we've talked about ravens playing with each other.
Right, but Ackerman also mentions interspecies play.
Play between different species.
Like what?
Dogs playing with horses, cats with birds.
I've seen those videos online. Adorable.
And there are even those videos of huskies seemingly befriending polar bears.
It's amazing how animals that seem so different can connect through play.
It really is like there's a universal language of play.
That transcends species barriers.
Osvath even had a playful interaction with a brown bear.
A bear?
He was running back and forth, touching the glass of its enclosure.
And the bear played along.
It picked up on the game right away, like they understood each other.
That's incredible. It's like play is this bridge that connects different worlds.
Exactly, and it makes you think about the deeper meaning of play.
What is it that allows such different creatures to connect in this way?
It's a question that takes us beyond science into the realm of wonder and mystery.
And I think that's a perfect segue into our final thoughts on raven play.
Ready to wrap things up?
Okay, so we've explored all these amazing examples of raven play.
From twig dropping to sliding downhill.
And we've talked about the science, the theories.
The practice, the brain development, the stress reduction.
But I keep coming back to this idea of a universal language of play.
Oh yeah, that's a fascinating concept.
Like when animals, even from different species, just seem to get each other.
It really does suggest that play taps into something much deeper.
Right. Something beyond just instinct or learned behavior.
Maybe something fundamental to how we interact and connect as living beings.
I like that maybe play bypasses all the complex social cues.
All the learned
and
behaviors.
just gets to the heart of a shared experience.
The pure joy of movement interaction discovery.
It makes me wonder if all our attempts to categorize and analyze play
As valuable as they are.
might be missing some of the magic
Like maybe there's an element of play that can't be defined.
that exists purely in the experience itself.
It's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle.
Right. You can't fully explain it or dissect it.
And I think that's a beautiful thought to leave our listener with.
To embrace the mystery of play.
To recognize its power, its pervasiveness.
And maybe through that, we gain a deeper appreciation
For the natural world and our place in it.
So to our listener, next time you see a raven soaring through the sky,
Or a dog chasing its tail.
or even a child lost in a world of make-believe,
Take a moment to just witness that wonder of play.
because it's more than just a pastime.
It's a glimpse into the very essence of life.
It's a reminder that joy, connection, creativity,
These things are woven into the very fabric of existence.
and who knows,
Maybe by understanding the playfulness of other creatures.
we can learn to embrace our own playful nature a bit more.
That's a great takeaway.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of raven intelligence and play.
We hope you learned something new.
And maybe even rediscover the joy